Welcome to Q Chats, everybody. We're here with Leighton and Ben from 20 Talk.
How are you?
How you going?
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, you too,
you
man.
too.
You
What was
too.
your name again?
Caleb.
Okay.
Yeah. So pretty much just got you in today. This thing looked really cool, guys, what you were doing.
Mm-hmm.
It looked really, really cool. Good cause. Can you just explain what it is?
Alright, so basically, the whole concept behind 20 Talk is we found that there's like a lot of stuff out there at the moment that's not really translating to young people. Like there's a lot of stuff out there in terms of mental health that's not really relating to people. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to address these kind of voids within people because, you know, there's a big problem with mental health. Obviously, you guys are aware. In Australia, it's one of the biggest killers of young men. And we started seeing like this like reoccurring rhythm that, you know, it's continually getting worse and there's people doing a lot of things out there to kind of address it, but nothing's really happening. And so through experiences, both internal and external, we decided that we're going to do something about it, and we started researching it all, and the kind of whole credo behind it, the whole vision statement is pursuing meaning through self-reflection. So what that means is we want to discover who you are as a person, like who you are down to your core, and we want you to be able to discover that by yourself. So yeah, that's kind of just the basic vision of what we're doing. Yeah, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah. Well, you pretty much just explained it in a nutshell. I guess the place where we want to try to get to is vulnerability, just as a perspective, because I think just the sense of masculinity that people have nowadays, especially us millennials or younger kids, I think it's really warped. I think that idea of weakness being something that you know, opening up to other friends and even your parents is something that you shouldn't do as a man. That kind of downgrades you. So
you gotta like swallow it and keep moving through.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is impossible, I think, for any human. The human condition, you really just need to be vulnerable and open-minded. Everybody goes through stuff, and to release that is so important. So really addressing the actual perspective of masculinity, which is being open and vulnerable with people.
Sorry to interrupt, man. So you guys are speaking about this issue with men are 3 times more likely to commit suicide than women.
Wow.
And women are 3 times more likely to seek help for their mental problems. So that's saying something about men, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is your entire sort of shtick male focused?
I mean, we have a vision for being females as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, as males, we translate better with males, and it's something we're looking to do in the future.
And men would also be way more likely, I assume, to like open up. You know, I am a man as well, but but like they're more like likely to open up to another man.
Yeah.
If a guy's going to talk about mental health, a guy would be like, oh, maybe I can do that as well. You know.
Yeah.
My like opinions on masculinity, opinions on being a man, aren't like this guy's, but this guy's really like challenging me. So
I guess
exactly.
It definitely has to translate through that.
There's not many male role models out there for us. Like I was reading this book and it talks a lot about how traditional males are put together from spare parts. You know, you look back to the times of like the caveman and the hunting days, we all had access to role models. We'd go out hunting, we'd always be with these older men. And as the Industrial Revolution comes along, we all start to, our parents and all these male role models just start going away to the factory and they're all at work. So we don't really have these people to guide us to really understand what a real man is. And I think there's, like you said, there's a very warped idea about what being a man is, and everyone wants to be, footy boys.
Yeah.
But in reality, like, to be a man is not just to be, like, angry. To be a man is to be extremely vulnerable as well.
Yeah.
And I guess it's, like, when we say that, we don't mean that when you're vulnerable, you're weak. because when you're vulnerable, you're actually
It's a risk. It's
yeah,
a huge
it's a risk.
Mm.
It's very much a risk, and just because we're being vulnerable as men does not mean that we can't be assertive when we need to be. So the kind of idea we want to push is, to be a man, you have to be able to switch between 2 points, being assertive and being vulnerable at the same time. And that's what, I guess, we were lucky enough to have role models in our life that kind of showed us that way. And we want to, help people understand that and really understand who they are through that.
Yeah, I often find, a lot of people my age have, this warped sense of masculinity. The archetype of a male is no longer there. It's no longer, cool or nice to be like that. So what should you be like? That's a question that a lot of males are asking themselves, like, who do I need to be? And that often creates a sense of, detachment. Yeah, for sure. What, that sense of detachment then, do you reckon that's the root cause of a lot of these, males going the way that they do?
Well, looking at our program, I'll give you camera a look at this.
Okay.
What we address in this program is
Thanks.
three requirements of humans,
Yeah.
to feel fulfilled as people. And I think these are the areas that are not being addressed currently. And the first one we talk about is direction with a person. So like, if you don't know where you're going, you're not going to feel very good because you're already lost. So that's the first thing we help do. We help them establish what kind of things they enjoy and how to plan a way that they can actually meaningfully achieve that. And moving on to the next kind of week, we talk about identity. So who are you as a person? And I guess along when we've been making this, we've had to really take a step back and who are we as a person?
Yeah, okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
What values do I hold? What boundaries do I have that I'm not going to cross? And once you understand these boundaries, we've found what values you have. So for example, me, I value integrity. I value spirituality. I value honesty. Those are things that I've set for who I am. And once I'm aware of who I am, I can step into new situations and be confident. I don't have to pretend to be a different person in a different situation, because every time you pretend to be a different person, you take a little stab out of who you are.
Exactly. Okay.
And that creates, it doesn't make you more confident at all. I'll tell you that for free.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So this is like a 5-week sort of
program.
Okay. And so, how do people contact you about that? What's the process?
So we'll originally, we've just started out through an Instagram. We made a post the other day and on Facebook, and it got quite a few hits. I think it got 800 likes.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, that's how I found it actually.
All right.
Was through that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we just put our feelers out. We've been developing the program together for the last 6 months, meeting at my house. Ben's been coming over with 8
Who's we? How big's your group?
7 or 8 boys so far.
Yeah, do you want to go over what guys are involved?
Yeah. So so we have 7 or 8 of us. So all around the same age. A few of us are from the same school, came from the same school, and from me and Leighton are from church as well. A few guys from church. So different areas. And we're all pretty much in the same boat. Tyler Beard is, yeah. So what we've been pretty much doing is just, we used to have a lot more frequent meetings, but they used to happen every week. But that was more in the process of actually making the booklet and just discussing what we should have in it and all of these dot points and all these topics. And we just pretty much spoke our mind about everything. Released everything. It was a great place where we could just talk about everything that we had in our minds and a place to be vulnerable with each other. And then that's pretty much where it came into production through us just being ourselves and being vulnerable with each other. So we're having those meetings. We already had a camping trip so far as well. We went down south to, where did we go? Nanga Bush Camp.
Yeah. So we had all these challenges planned out. We set a theme, and the theme was the army theme, but the what we talked about before is about what is being a real man. That's what we set the theme for the weekend.
Okay.
And we set it as like an army thing, so I like dressed up in like full camo.
Full commando.
Like at night time, one night on the Friday, all around the campfire, and I started taking people away and starting interrogating them. Like questioning, like, do you really want to be involved in this? Like, how much do you actually believe in this? Like, really just challenging who they are as a person. And I guess that's kind of who I am as a person. I like to challenge people.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And I don't know, it's good in some situations, but obviously it's not so good in others.
Mm.
But yeah, so that's kind of the way we did it. We did a few team activities, building a rafts, reflection activities, stuff like that. We're planning to do a few more camps, and hopefully we can bring some more people along to those as well.
Yeah, so is this program like is that camp like going to be a part of this program then, or is that
Is it
just
more for the
the
mentors?
like the mentor thing?
It's all still up in the air. I think in the future we could have events like that happen. When we're a bigger group base, we could go on actual trips and little vacations and stuff like that are directed more towards having challenges and not just having fun. So who knows what can happen. I mean, it's still, Leighton's only really just started with his first mentee, and I haven't even started with my first mentee either. So we're still in the process of actually getting people in. Even though we had people like the Facebook status and really want to be involved, we're still finding who really wants to be involved and wants to get on board.
Because it's really it's quite a leap to take, I think, as like imagining myself as an individual seeing that and being like called to it. Like say even just a post and then being like, I want to do that, but even just like sending a message can feel like a lot for someone.
Yeah.
Oh,
It really can.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Because you know that you're really like, it's not just a message. You're like really open. You're like, you're opening yourself up. And that's so scary. For someone.
Oh yeah,
and
for sure. Even online.
You're making yourself accountable for the position you're in.
Yeah.
Like, because once you send that message, like, okay, now I
You're
know I'm in a
you
position. I can't hide from that thought now.
Yeah.
And we understand that that's what's happening. And I guess we want to, like, an idea we had was like, let's message the people that liked it, because there's going to be people out there that want to do it, but they're too afraid to say it. And, like, we had people.
But if like they feel that you are like actually interested, I think people would respond to that for sure.
Yeah. Like, we had people messaging us, like, telling us, "Cool, this is so cool," and then we kind of further that, be like, "Do you want to be involved?" And they're like, "Yeah, we do." And that's because there's that idea that you can't really come out. And I guess another idea is that they don't actually know who we are. Like we could be just doing this crazy thing, like what? Yeah. But to all you guys out there, it's actually really, really deep.
It's legit.
Like,
it's legit.
It's legit. I swear. Come on.
We ain't fads.
No, it's been good. But I want to share with you a little bit, I guess, more on my perspective, like how this whole thing kind of developed through me, and then how it kind of like spurred on to the other thing, through the actual 20 talk. So I guess for me to be inspired to kind of start a thing like this, at one point in my life I had to feel like I was a little bit lost and I didn't really have all this stuff sorted out. Like we couldn't relate to people if we were all perfect. And I think we can say that we've all had our fair share of experiences that are not so ideal. And I guess like in high school, for me, I was very like pushed towards, not really pushed, but I was very driven to be really successful, go to uni, do all these things, and it kind of led me down, taking a lot of like, do you know Dexies?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got really into them for about 4 years, and it just did not end well.
Is that for like study? You doing it for study?
I was doing it to study because I just wanted to be really successful.
Okay,
like, you can do this. And that was not good.
Yeah.
It was like a mental prison for me. Like I couldn't no longer feel like positive emotions, and it was just not ideal. And I guess it kind of came to a point where I had to take 6 months off uni and rehabilitate my mind, and nothing felt good. And we're looking at people that are feeling like this, and we really want to translate to that. Now, after we took that time off, we had one of our friends, Kai, pass away. I'm not sure if you guys were aware of that. One of our friends, Kai, committed suicide. in 2017, around the middle of the year, and that was a big shock to all of us. Lockie from 20 Talk and Jack, which are also in our friend group, they were really close to him, and I think it influenced them quite a bit, and as much as it did me. Like, I wasn't even as close as them, but yeah, it was pretty full on. I guess the night we found out about the passing of Kai, we all gathered at Lockie's house, one of our mentors, and there was about 10 of us sitting around a fire, and we're all just like shell shocked. Like, when someone dies, you know, your whole perspective, your whole reality just like gets leveled out to what's true. Like, you
nothing grounds you harder than that, man.
Yeah, like what is true? Like what should I be focusing on? Like, what is real?
Yeah.
And Lockie,
it strips a lot of things back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Lockie said this thing to like the whole group, like probably 10 or 15 guys. He's like, you know, we can't ever let this happen again. Like, we have to talk to each other. We have to man up and be these people, become vulnerable. And you could sense the thickness in the air, man. Like, everyone was just like, yeah. And it was so good. And I guess, you know, later on that night, and I had this whole idea of becoming successful and pursuing business, and I had a previous business that I'd run, Bank Teas, and I had an idea on that, and I was walking home that night, and this is probably one of the most pivotal moments for 20 Talk, is I was just walking home, and then bang, I just dropped to the ground, and like, it's really hard to explain what happened, but like, I had this experience where my whole perspective on what I thought was important just shifted, and to me that was like a spiritual experience. To someone else it might be something else, but the whole idea of what I had to pursue just changed. And I didn't understand what it meant, but it was like the most intense feeling ever. Like, my whole body was just like, whoa. Like,
epiphany? Is that
yeah,
what
like epiphany, but like, picture it like this, like, you wanted to do something your whole life, and you've had a whole set of desires, like there's things that you want to do, and every single one of those just stood up and stood somewhere else, and like, you're just like a new person with like a second. It was so weird.
Yeah.
I knew that I had to do this other thing, and I guess I didn't really do anything about it for a while, and about a year later, after I cut all these things out of my life, I decided that, you know, maybe it's a good idea that I translate my old business, which is Bank Teas, which had a lot of young people following it. Let's start like a mentoring program that actually relates to people, that's not out of touch.
Yeah.
I feel like the current programs out there are a bit, you know...
They're unapproachable, man.
Yeah, exactly.
They can be quite
generic. Yeah, exactly.
100%.
And so it's like, you might as well just think, you know, WikiHow, make me happy. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Mindfulness.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and a lot of the government ones that are government backed feel a bit like they're just going, I guess we got to do something to stop the people saying that we got to do something. Let's just, you know, slap a sticker on a bus.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, we'll throw a number up there, call these random people that have no face.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's difficult because like a lot of the times where I've seen mates open up, you know, it's been 4 a.m. after a vendor and they're off their face, and then they'll finally say something, and then they'll finally feel comfortable saying something.
Yeah.
But then those conversations sort of go nowhere after that. No one talks about it afterwards because it's still like, that's your vulnerable position being so like off your face that like it just comes out.
Yeah, it's almost like you're a different identity at that point, because we've had plenty of times like that as well. Yeah. I've experienced so much of that, and you are a different person in that moment. It's 4 a.m. You shouldn't be awake at that time. You're ruled up with drugs. You're a completely different person. You're intoxicated. Exactly. Yeah. So you feel like, actually now's the time that I can actually open up because I'm not actually myself. If I did when I was sober, then I would be more hurt, or I'd be more offended if someone like reacted in a certain way.
Yeah. Okay.
But that goes back to identity. Hey, how important that really is.
And it's about like removing that shell. We want to create a space where people can take that down, and they come to us, and we meet together with an acknowledgement that we're all not bringing these outer cases. And you'll be so surprised what eventuates when you come together with that mindset that you can speak.
I feel like it'd be so obvious if someone did come into that scenario with a shell. Like, I feel like you could really just, you'd be like, hey man, what's up? And then you just feel the barrier.
Yeah. You're feeling the atmosphere for sure.
How do you break the ice? Like what's the if you sense that someone has that shell, like what are you gonna do to break that shell away from them?
Well, I think, you know, it comes down to speaking to someone's like soul, someone speaking to someone's life, like with uttermost honesty, genuine belief that you want to help them. And yeah, we've found like when you start asking questions to guys, especially guys, like they will just there's all this stuff inside them just comes spurting out, like it's ridiculous.
Stuff maybe they haven't even acknowledged themselves yet.
Well, I find there's so many things where like once you like verbalize them, once you like really make them in the real world, it's like a dream. Like you wake up, you like have a total memory of the dream you just had. 10 minutes later, it's gone. But if you write it down, if you tell someone about it, it's like, oh man, I had a crazy dream last night. It was like a clown, and I was running. I didn't know what was happening. 2 weeks later, you could be like, oh man, I remember that dream about that clown. Because you've actually put it in the real world. You've actually like made it tangible.
That's so good.
Wow.
And
so
even
good.
if it's like you believe it, even if you feel like, so I'll just say, not so much about the dream, but like with a feeling that's in your soul or whatever. Once you've actually verbalized it, it's like, I always knew that. I knew that all along about myself. I knew I had that characteristic that I loved or that I hated or whatever. But it wasn't until I actually expressed that I knew it. It wasn't. It was in my mind, but it was like subconscious. It didn't actually. I didn't put it in the world for myself.
Wow.
Yeah, that's so true. Like, I guess those kind of ideas are sprinkled through the 20 Talk program. Like, in the first week, we tell them to buy a journal, and we give them all these challenges like every week, like writing down like what they're grateful for, like writing down their vision, writing down their values, all these kind of things that they're feeling. A lot of things go in and out of your head, and if you don't write them down, they're just useless thoughts.
For
put onto
sure.
paper is so important.
And it's also a bit of a creative outlet as well. It's like a lot of dudes have a creative outlet that they can, you know, put their emotion into. And like for me, man, like I've been in similar positions where I feel pretty down, but you know, as soon as I, you know, I don't know, make some music or like chat some shit to this dude, I just, you know, the creativity pulls you out of that space. I feel
it's a platform.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. So, okay, what happens? You've gone through the 5 weeks. You've come out of the other end. You're not better yet. You know, nothing's 100%. What then?
Okay. Yeah, well, that's a good question. I think for us, you know, we're not actually people here that, you know, fix all your problems. We're not psychologists. We're not these people. We're here to give you and set you on the right direction. We can give you some things that we think work, but we're not obviously going to be able to solve all of your problems. And I guess that's something we really need to be careful with, is we're not psychologists.
Yes, for sure.
And that's just a crazy thing. You know, we're leaders, we're guiders, we're not anything certified. We're going to be doing our mental health first aid, but that's about it.
I think that's a positive, really, because as someone who would approach the program, you just go to a therapist if you want a therapist.
Yes.
Really. But I think a lot of people would maybe be deterred from that.
It's
intimidating.
It
for sure.
It feels so binary. It feels so like me and the therapist.
Yeah, you don't really
100%.
understand.
The
You
therapist
just studied.
I'm assuming
Yeah.
you guys open up to people that when you talk to them. I assume because it's a whole environment. It's like fostering that environment rather than like you don't have a therapist be like, well, let me tell you about my problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
yeah.
man.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's the space, because I'd rather open up to you guys, even though I've just met you guys, instead of a psychologist or a counselor, because you guys are my age, we're on the same level. We're in a space where I feel comfortable. I'm not in this like completely white room where it's just so directed towards me and like all my issues. But you know, realizing that you guys have your issues, we do as well. Like we're on the same page.
I think that the psychologist thing maybe does have a bit of that weakness thing attached to it. You know, it can make you feel a bit weak, because it's not like, you know, fostering a friendship or a relationship, and it's hard, man. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's back to what you said before. You know, you're becoming accountable for your issues when you say that you want to go to a psychologist. But if you come to, you know, a a program like 20 Talk,
Yeah.
you know, we're on the same level. There's no power disconnect.
Yeah.
You know, you're not speaking up to someone. We're people that have problems, and we're not perfect either. Make no mistake. We're not. You know,
that's the most important part.
Yeah.
You guys aren't perfect.
Yeah.
You're not trying to tell people how to be.
no.
Yeah,
no.
okay, I feel you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if someone begins to understand that, all the walls will break.
Yeah.
And that goes back maybe to what you were saying before about breaking that ice. I think once you make known that, you know, I'm just as broken as you, man. Like, I'm just as hurting. I want to grow in this, not just you. Like, this is investing into me as much as it is you. So once they realize that, I think that those walls just shatter and those barriers break, because they realize that, look, I can just spill this info to this guy or what I'm going through, and he's not going to judge me. He's not going to put me into a stereotype or a box. He's going to listen to me. And I mean, we've talked about this as well, really tailoring the whole program to each mentee. So each kid that comes in, you know, we don't have to put them through this whole program or the whole process. I mean, we're obviously going to explain everything, but we'll tailor it to the way that they're designed and their personality is. So if they just want to come and vent, literally, I'll just sit back, and listen to you vent, man. Because if that's the way that you want to get your issues out or that you want to release, and, you know, your parents aren't listening, your friends aren't listening, then I'll be that person.
So good.
So it's all tailored to that person.
Yeah, like sometimes when I vent to somebody, I suddenly come up with the solution. I go, shit, like that's the solution. And they've just sat there and said nothing. And I'm like, well, okay. That's sometimes the best thing is to just get it off your chest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's and it's all free. It's all free.
Yeah, it's
it's
all
volunteer
free.
based, man. You guys are doing it out of the
From the
kindness
heart.
of your heart.
Yeah, no, we're all
legit.
doing it.
Yeah, I really respect that, because it's, you know, you guys are putting yourself through a bit of a tough time here. You know, hearing other people's issues. You know, if you've got your own, that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
That's good. It's really good. And I also want to touch on what else we talk about in the program. I know I discussed direction and identity, but there's two other areas that we also talk about, and I think this one for young people is a really big one, and that's relationships. You know, we've been talking today a lot about relationships and friendships, and like how important it is to have good friends. And a thing we look at within friendships is we give people the understanding that they need to be responsible for their friendships, and a part of expecting a good friendship means that you actually need to be this good friend to them. And I think, I can blame myself for this as well. Like, I want all these people coming to me asking how I am, but then I look at myself and be like, oh, am I really speaking life into these people? Am I really there for these people? And I think that's like a really big thing. So we talk a bit about that in week 4, and then week 5. This is a big week, isn't it? Do you want to talk a bit about it? Do you want to?
What even was it again?
Okay, so
self-control. Hey.
Yeah, self-control.
Yeah.
So
You started off.
those 3 core things we talk about: direction, identity, and relationships. We feel those are like the internal things that we really need to thrive. Society thinks that we need wealth, happiness, and all these
A
other
Gucci
things.
handbag.
Gucci handbag.
Validation.
Fake tits. Yeah.
All validation.
You know, all these things like social media, like
Yeah.
validation. But we feel those 3 things, direction, identity, and relationships, are like what really makes us tick. And now in our final week, we talk about what kind of things are you going to resort to if you don't have those 3 key components. So let's look at it. We have the first thing. One of the things you may resort to is social media addiction. You may, you know, try and validate who you are as a person because you don't feel like you're really the person you want to be, but you create like a false identity of who you are. Another thing that people use as an escape, like we call it escapism, or you guys know what escapism is pornography addiction. So when you feel like shit and you feel bad, a lot of people would just resort to pornography. They'll go off into their room. It's the only thing that makes them feel like the man, you know?
Yeah.
I'm the man.
Yeah.
Look at that girl.
Yeah.
I'm the king.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's your little window of being like true to who you are, like being that person.
It's a quick hit, isn't it?
Yeah,
What
100%.
you're talking about, this social media and like
It's
you
all
post a photo,
pretty much
it's
drugs.
like it's a quick release. It's a quick hit.
It's a band-aid.
It's not it's a band. It's not a sustainable foundational. You know, really helpful thing to your soul.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
for
so
sure.
temporary.
100%.
Yeah.
And then
Because like a little social media is good, a little
Yeah.
bit of porn's good too. It really is legit though. Yeah, but you know,
Yeah.
overindulgence is never a good thing. Yeah.
yeah, there's definitely good things about social media. I mean, without social media, we probably wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Exactly.
And,
Yeah.
Mm.
there's
Well,
positive.
it's like relationships. Like it really is the thing that like with like what we were saying before, yeah, about like you're trying to make this identity, I guess, in social media. Like this like fake identity that's not you. You're trying to get like dopamine out of that. I think it's also like people will just scroll. People just scroll and scroll and scroll, see what everyone else is doing, and that is considered nowadays like almost the same as actually having a real conversation with someone.
Same as going
I think
outside.
messaging is a little different because I think that's cool, like sharing stuff that you see, and that's great. Even if it's dumb or if it's like a really interesting article or whatever, that's cool.
100%.
But yeah,
it's not actually the problem, social media or porn or anything like that. Well, yeah, like to an extent, certain things are, you know, with porn and social media, I guess.
And drugs
but
as well.
and drugs, 100%. But it goes back to the
I
root
think
trauma.
you can even be addicted to exercise, which is a super healthy.
Yeah,
thing.
Yeah.
food.
Legit.
It can be, you know,
Gaming.
yeah, completely fine things, but it's the root trauma that is causing you to do that. Like if I'm lacking intimacy and I use porn as a platform to fulfill that, but I end up dry every time. Like it's the root trauma. It's not the actual platform.
Yeah, and I guess there's a lot of things out there to put band-aid fixes on these. I mean, trying to fix these escapism measures. You know? Rehabs. You know, you've got, I don't know, things about pornography that will stop you from going into that kind of world.
Yeah.
But like, what we want to do is we want to address the core issues and that, who you are as a person. All those things is what we want to achieve. And I think, you know, back to social media, what you're saying about how people mindlessly scroll, like a big problem with that is there's been a lot of value on the 1% of our lives that's really good. Like we only put up these really good things, like we're having fun, I'm out in Mykonos, I'm doing those things, but like we're no longer valuing the 99% of our lives, which is like the bad stuff, you know, the pain, the crying, you know, just having a general conversation, all those things no one wants to see. So no one longer values them anymore.
Yes.
And I think that's like
I blame
a
memes.
big problem.
I blame
Yeah, it's me.
so cynical nowadays.
It's next level.
This guy's crying. It's so dumb.
Technology, man.
We spoke before about heroes and like how, you know, like men don't have a lot of like role models. Okay, yeah. One really good role model that I've seen these days is a guy named Jordan Peterson. Yeah, you guys probably, And I haven't actually read his book yet. Yeah, I need to read more fucking books, man. But anyway, he's pretty good because like one thing he said stuck with me, and I don't agree with all the things he says. Like I won't agree with all things, you know, you guys say, but he still has some really healthy things to say because he mainly focuses on male-centered issues. And he said, you know, men in their 40s, they come into my office and because he's a psychologist, he helps people out. And he says, you know, if these guys haven't got like, you know, someone who loves them, if they haven't got like friends, if they haven't got like something that they're driven by, then he goes, pretty much there's nothing I can really do for you there. Like, you know, you're already in this place where, you know, you don't have a foundation. Yeah. And it's like I reckon a really healthy thing at this age is like, you know, build a foundation for yourself, you know, build a foundation at which you can, you know, base your happiness off and your drive off. Yeah. A lot of people get lost down the rabbit hole of, you know, drugs, alcohol, like super common things, which are just like, you know, go nowhere. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Do you guys sort of like address like the drug thing as well with guys?
Yeah,
100%.
That's the very final bit. We talk about drugs, and I think from our group we've got a good amount of experience in that area.
Yeah.
To be able to talk.
I think most guys in Perth our age do.
Yeah,
exactly.
100%.
Legit,
That's exactly why we address it, because it is such a culture.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get. It's so easy just to...
Socially acceptable.
It's exactly. Just whip out a joint, have it, and you'll feel completely fine. And I think the things that are attached to it as well, like, you know, when you get high, like you get high and you feel high, you feel good, you feel relaxed, but like, do you actually... Honestly, the amount of times that I can say that I've sat there, smoked a joint and felt depressed, reflected on myself, like I'm I'm just a piece of crap. Like I'm
Yeah.
resorting to smoking weed, resorting to like whatever drug it is just to feel satisfied. It's like this utopia that you have in your mind beforehand. It's always beforehand that catches you out. You're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Alright, I'm going to have the best time. I'm going to sit here, smoke a bong,
Yeah.
drop a few pills, whatever that is, and
Yeah.
I'm going to have an amazing time." And like you could to an extent, but then you always come back to that place where you're like, like, you know, I've been gifted with this amazing life, and to be sitting here stoned off my head, like it's totally fine if you do it every so often. It's just abusing it. And you
Yeah,
sit
it's like
there.
moderation. It's like the same thing with alcohol, really. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's really crazy that we have. I think a lot of people our age understand this as well. Like, we have. Anyone can go get alcohol, really. If you're underage, you just ask an older sibling. You can ask
Yeah.
an older mate. Like, it's so easy to get.
Yeah.
I'll give you another $10 if you get me this.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
easy. Like.
Yeah.
Same with like cigarettes, or same with like sugar, or those sort of things.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
for me personally, I think I consider them in a similar category to just drugs in general.
Oh,
Because they are.
100%.
yeah.
100%.
Anything addictive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even understand why there's like a distinction between drugs and alcohol. Like just because.
It's a drug.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
It's
it
a
is.
substance.
It is a
Any
drug,
substance.
and it is extremely bad for you. No matter what people say, you know. I think I read once that they did a test, to people driving on drugs, and they tested every single drug, and the one that turned out to be the worst for the person was actually alcohol.
Yeah.
Like LSD was actually the best that people could drive on. But like, it is
Wouldn't think
such
so.
a bad thing. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but we're so accustomed to it.
Yeah,
that we
it's
just think it's
super
normal.
ingrained in Aussie
It's
culture.
so
Yeah,
100%,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, especially
Having
in
a beer.
Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Having a
mean,
beer,
I love a
having a
beer.
beer.
Like,
Yeah.
don't,
Yeah, of course.
That's for sure.
Yes.
yeah, VB as well. They're the best.
So Aussie.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Well.
Yeah, moderation.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Self control.
Self-control.
I reckon we've covered like most of what we wanted to cover today.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks a lot, guys, for coming in.
Thanks
Oh,
for having
guys.
us.
Yeah. It's been great
We said
conversation.
Awesome.
one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we like doing like a little game at the end of our podcast, just like,
Okay.
and we figured especially with this one, it would be like a little heavier, so we want to have a nice little game.
Yeah.
You guys are familiar with the game Categories?
No.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
it's
I am.
Yeah.
It's like traditionally a drinking game, I guess, but we're gonna drink with it.
Yeah.
Gotta be-
That'd be a
We're
little
getting
two on
we're
the
getting
go.
half good
VB.
vibes. Half good
Yeah.
vibes, yeah.
Basically, I won't play, you three will be playing. I'll say a category, and then you have to go around the circle saying a category. The first thing you say on your turn has to be something that fits within that category. So say I was to say plants. You could go, or like herbs. I don't know. You just like name the herb.
Okay.
Whatever. Okay. And the winner can have one of these two, depending on what you like.
Oh, yeah.
I know we haven't been talking about things, but I mean,
No, that's
it's
cool.
your choice if you eat the whole block in one go. I'm not gonna.
No
I'm
joke.
for it.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
Is
what's
it the
that?
first one to say it? Like if you say a category, the first one to say it gets a point, or
No,
Well,
you go around the
the
circle.
first
The
one
first
to
one
not say
who messes up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
who
Okay,
says
so you just have to keep
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What messes
Yeah.
up? Right.
Ah, cool.
Okay. So we'll start with Shaq and go this way.
Pressure. Okay.
Yeah.
Just like, alright.
Alright.
And the first one is childhood heroes.
Batman.
Bear in the Big Blue House.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Superman. Love superheroes.
I did like Spider-Man.
Batman.
Already been said.
Okay.
Sorry, that was a practice round. That was a
Okay.
practice round.
Okay.
Oh,
So
gee.
from now it's
That was just
elimination.
my subconscious that picked that
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, from now it's elimination.
Kids run so
I
I
quick.
fucking love Batman.
Yeah.
What's Batman?
Next one we're gonna do is things you can add to food to make it better. So it could be sauces, herbs, any sort of condiment really. Yeah. So with you.
Can I write it down?
Chili, straight
You
up.
can't write down.
Oh,
Yeah, no, chili.
Sriracha.
Mustard.
Barbecue,
Salt.
Pickles.
tomato.
Anchovies.
Pepper.
Oh, we said pickles.
I'm out.
I'm out.
Damn.
Mustard.
I thought it was said already.
No.
Was it? Oh, I don't know.
Mustard oils.
Oh,
Mustard oils.
Subconscious.
it's really hard with three people. It goes around so quick.
Well, now it's just you and me, man. This motherfucker's eliminated. Sorry.
Oh, yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Alright,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
you're right, yeah.
One,
Yeah.
two.
Actually,
Even harder
better.
now.
Alright.
Yeah.
I had a feeling I can't remember it, so I'm gonna go with Olympic sports.
Fuck. Okay.
I'll start.
Wait, you want to start?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll start. Javelin,
Archery.
marathon running,
100-meter sprint.
200-meter sprint,
400-meter sprint.
1,000-meter semi-sprint.
Wheelchair basketball. Does that count?
Technically, it's called murder ball. So
It's not. They don't call it murder
they
ball.
do. That's the actual name for it.
Commentators do
It's
they
murder
actually?
ball. Yeah, that's the name for it.
Well,
I'm pretty
okay.
sure.
I still said like.
Alright, fine. Move on.
Alright,
Hold on.
go.
Pole vault,
Darts.
long jump.
High jump.
Oh, got my one. What's that one where they spin around in a circle? I forgot.
Oh, I'm like you, I guess.
Yeah.
Is darts in the
the
Olympics?
disc one.
It's
Discus.
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 Is darts in the
Yeah,
Olympics?
discus.
Gymnastics.
Dart. Yeah, that's in the Olympics. Yeah,
Discus.
Yep, that's
Skating
in the
soon to be
Yeah,
as well.
You guys get to keep.
That's in the Olympics, 100%. Yeah.
This is rigged.
Wait, anyway, boys, thank you
Yeah,
so much
cheers,
for
thanks
coming.
so much.
Yeah,
thanks
no
you
worries.
guys.
It was a
This
pleasure.
has been
Thanks
great.
for having us.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was good.
Catch you later.
Awesome.
See ya.
Yeah. You guys can take the other one. Which one do you want?
No, you guys keep.
Cool.
I'm addicted to chocolate. I'm trying to diet now.
Right.
Trying to stray
Yeah,
away
I
from
go
my
through phases,
addictions.
I'm like, no, fuck chocolate, and then I eat one little bit. I'm like, no, the entire thing.
I know.
I break out like madness if I do.
Cool. That was awesome.